Life is often seen as a series of interconnected struggles, with many believing that their past traumas, social standings, or external validation dictate their happiness. However, what if all of these assumptions were wrong? Inspired by Adlerian psychology, the courage to be disliked challenges the notion that our past controls us and asserts that happiness is within our own grasp. Through the story of Daniel, a young man struggling with self-doubt, the author explains the profound ideas from this philosophy and how they can transform your life. In this video, I have 7 key ideas from the book. So, let's get started. The burden of the past, denying trauma. Daniel always believed that his struggles were a result of his childhood experiences. Raised in a dysfunctional household, he carried the weight of his past as an unshakable truth. "I am this way because of my childhood," he would say. However, a wise mentor, Mr. Evans, challenged him, explaining that past experiences do not dictate his present. "You are not defined by what happened to you," he told Daniel. "Rather, you define what those events mean to you." This was a revolutionary thought for Daniel. His suffering was not an inevitability, but a choice in how he perceived his past. By understanding that trauma does not define him, he realized he had the power to move forward. The root of all problems: interpersonal relationships. As Daniel began reflecting on his life, he noticed that most of his pain stemmed from his relationships. He was anxious about how others perceived him, constantly seeking approval, and felt inferior to those around him. Mr. Evans revealed that all problems are, at their core, interpersonal relationship problems. The fear of judgment kept Daniel trapped in a cycle of self-doubt. His worth, he realized, should not be contingent on others' opinions. Instead, he had to redefine his self-worth on his own terms. The art of separating tasks. Daniel struggled with disappointing his parents, his friends, and even his colleagues. He lived his life trying to meet their expectations. Mr. Evans introduced him to a liberating concept: separating tasks. Your job is to live in a way that is true to yourself, not to satisfy the expectations of others. Daniel understood that he was responsible for his own life, just as others were responsible for their own reactions. If someone disliked him for his choices, that was their task to handle, not his. The desire for recognition, a prison of the mind. One of Daniel's biggest realizations was that his pursuit of validation was making him a prisoner. Every decision he made, his career, his social interactions, even his hobbies, was rooted in the need for approval. "Seeking recognition makes you unfree," Mr. Evans explained. "True freedom comes when you stop living for the opinions of others." Daniel slowly started practicing this new mindset, focusing on what he genuinely enjoyed rather than what would make him look good in others' eyes. The true goal of relationships: a sense of community. As Daniel distanced himself from the need for recognition, he wondered, what, then, is the purpose of relationships? Mr. Evans introduced him to community feeling. The goal of relationships is not competition or validation, but genuine contribution and mutual respect. Instead of comparing himself to others, Daniel started focusing on what he could offer: his kindness, his ability to listen, and his willingness to support others. By shifting his perspective, he no longer felt alone, but connected. Embracing the present moment. Previously, Daniel was obsessed with either regretting his past or worrying about the future. He had never truly lived in the present. Mr. Evans encouraged him to shine a light on the here and now. Happiness isn't something that exists in the distant future. It is something you create moment by moment. Life, he realized, is not a grand journey to a destination, but a dance, meant to be lived in each step. the courage to be happy, and the courage to be normal. One of Daniel's final hurdles was accepting that happiness requires courage. Many people unconsciously choose unhappiness because it allows them to avoid responsibility and risk. Mr. Evans pointed out, they fear failure, rejection, or criticism, so they cling to their suffering as a form of security. Daniel saw how he had been doing this, convincing himself he wasn't good enough so he wouldn't have to take risks. However, he finally understood. Choosing to be happy meant stepping outside his comfort zone, being disliked by some, and embracing the beauty of an ordinary life. It was not about being special, but about being free. Daniel's journey reflects a truth that applies to all of us. We are not victims of our past, nor are we bound by others' opinions. Happiness is not a distant goal. It is a choice that requires courage. In the end, Daniel learned the most important lesson of all. The courage to be disliked is the courage to be truly free. Thank you for watching.